Hey, do you remember that one not-so-present character from episode 4, A Cold Alliance in Sly 3? Despite her being the driving force of the story for this episode, she always seemed to either remain behind closed doors or be shown as a silhouette. Hey everyone, it's Vivi and welcome back to some more Sly Cooper. Jing King, being the Panda King's daughter, played a pivotal role in kickstarting Panda's alliance with the Cooper gang. His daughter was kidnapped by the ruthless General Cao, someone who desired to continue their bloodline by any means necessary. By rescuing Jing King, Panda King with his demolition expertise would agree to help the Cooper gang with their mission on Cane Island later on. Here's one thing we're sure of. We never got to see Jing King's own perspective on things. Everything that happened during this episode was from an outside perspective. We know of this character, and yet we don't know much about this character. If there's anything we know of her apart from being forced into marriage, it's the love and care Panda King has for his daughter. He loves his daughter, but for some reason, he was incapable of saving her until the Cooper gang showed up. Prior to our meetup, he was pursuing the life of peace, tranquility, and meditation. It seemed he was exiled, or how Cao puts it, had convinced him to pursue meditation. However, with him having skills in demolition, he seemed unable to save her. At first, it was a bit of a head-scratcher until this happened. According to his inner self-reflection, using his own fury single-handedly would cost many lives. In the end, Panda thought it was best to team up with the Cooper gang, even if it meant following the path of humility. His inner self once thought humility is what cost him his daughter in the first place. Soon after, he made peace with his mind and pursued his path with the Cooper gang. Once all of this was over, Panda King found a residence in China and lived 2 doors down from his daughter Jing King. According to Bentley, she was pleased to have her father screen all of her future suitors. However, she still remained unmarried. Jing King remaining unmarried could stem from a few possibilities. Number 1, her wanting her father to screen her future potential husband could stem from the trauma she endured during her abduction. Can't forget how Cao basically treated her as an object, and Sly wasn't having any of that. Even called him the worst guy he's ever faced. Number 2, this could be a matter of personal choice. Jing King being pleased about her father screening potential partners, while that could simply be the case of what Panda believes or assumes. Again, this being an outside perspective and not Jing King's. Panda formed an alliance with us, we can't forget that. He could have reported back to the gang, well Bentley in this case, about both his status and his daughter's, with the assumption of her being all fine and happy. Number 3, Jing King simply needs healing. She remains unmarried not because of the screening of potential suitors. This girl simply needs to heal and do her own thing. As stated previously, everything which happened in A Cold Alliance was never seen from her perspective. No one really knows what was going on in her mind, and that's where we start to dig deeper. Just what was she like before and after her ordeal with Cao? If we at least focus on the after, her remaining unmarried could stem from the possibility of her not only trying to heal herself, but also wanting to become stronger. This sort of mindset could open doors to potential character development and future roles in the series. I've always had this thought in mind, especially when thinking about Jing King's own perspective and feelings on things. Although we never knew much of her personality or her method of thinking, you just can't help but wonder what she actually thinks of her father. Sure, the animated cutscenes seem to portray a good father-daughter bond, but this could also be a situation of what you see is not what you think. No one knows if her father was always around, especially considering the fact that the Panda King once used to work for Clockwork, or rather, the Fiendish Five. See, that's the thing. She most likely, under whatever circumstance, found out about what her father did, being involved in the death of Sly's parents. What was going on through her mind, say, the moment she found out about it? Did she resent her father for it? A situation I always pictured is our gang revisiting China for whatever reason that may be. Taking the cliffhanger into consideration, the fact that Sly is currently absent, I could imagine Bentley, Murray, and Carmelita for the first time sitting down with Jing King. having her physically present for the very first time. Could be during a supper meeting, a very heart-to-heart moment. Jinking out of nowhere brings up what happened to Sly's family all those years ago, and how she looked at her father when she found out about it. She could show emotional body language during this scene, and I could just picture her also opening up about how she actually felt during that ordeal with General Cao. She could also mention how, ever since that moment, she considered training martial arts as a method of self-defense. As mentioned prior, she could be wanting to become stronger and fend for herself if situation of sorts ever arises. Is her father someone who's controlling or overprotective? What exactly is her relationship with her father like? All these questions could be answered in a potential China episode. Her very first introduction could be an epic one. Our gang, for whatever reason, is surrounded by guards or mercenaries. While they try to handle them all, a sudden mysterious character enters the scene. She lands a hand while also showing her skills in whatever it is she decided to get into. For some unknown reason, I just picture her mastering Chinese archery. It could be something that's still practiced in the Sly universe, for example. With the gang trying to figure out Sly's whereabouts, one might start thinking about the safe house, whether or not it'll follow the typical format for each and every single episode. A China episode with Carmelita and the crew could follow a slightly different approach. Make the player strongly feel immersed in the setting and narrative this time around. Jinking might offer the gang to spend the night. Surely she must trust them after being rescued from Cao's clutches, especially Carmelita. But this begs the question, where would her father be during this moment? He could or could not be present during this episode. If he is, he might not be against the idea of the gang spending the night. What'll be interesting is a moment between Panda and Carmelita. She did arrest him in the past. She could also explain how he actually got out of jail. He did bury villages under snow in the past, so a conversation between these two would certainly be another interesting scenario. And so, a question for you viewers, could you picture Jinking as a potential new party member? If so, how would you imagine her combat and gameplay? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Like always, a massive thanks to my patrons for their support, and thank you all for watching. My name's Vivi, and until next time.